I think many women imagine this stage of life is going to feel very different than it actually does. We think there will be more freedom, more space, right? More time to focus on ourselves, our dreams, the things we postponed while raising families and building careers. And sometimes that happens. But sometimes you reach this stage of life and realize people still need you deeply, emotionally, constantly. And no one really talks honestly about that. Lately, I've been struggling with balance, that exact balance. I'm trying to hold love, responsibility, exhaustion, while maintaining my creativity and my future all at the same time. Well, given my age, I've had a portfolio of careers. Many of you, I'm just going to talk about the recent ones. Many of you may not know that for years I was a career coach, first working with executives in a C-suite. During and after my divorce, I pivoted to career coaching in higher education and then back to executives, specifically working with women executives. But during COVID, that coaching business slowed down dramatically. Understandable, right? But honestly, I also have to share I was incredibly lonely. I had moved to Minnesota to be close to my kids and my grandkids, and as a way, to stay connected because I was still doing my halftime in Paris. But unfortunately and sadly, I suddenly became estranged from my daughter. And then my son remarried and his life got very, very busy. So I wondered, how am I going to fill my days? Well, some people take up a hobby. Me, I start a podcast. At first, it was simply a way to feel connected to the world. As all of you know, if you lived alone during COVID, it was pretty isolating, wasn't it? I had been writing for an online magazine while in Paris, and during COVID, I also decided to start an online magazine, and I called it Extraordinary Women. Some crazy ideas came out of COVID. I ran that magazine for several years, and that was when I connected to my love of writing and interviewing. So I thought, well, let's try recording my podcast as a video, and I posted a few episodes here and there on YouTube. Now, YouTube then, it was not the YouTube of today. Soon, though, I really thought about maybe I should do something more, with this, except no one was watching. No one. Strangely, though, I loved making the videos. Video felt much more connected than audio. Audio often, I felt anyways, like I was talking into a void, where video, for some strange reason, because I saw my face maybe, I thought I was speaking to someone, you, basically. YouTube, to me, felt like I was sitting across the table from someone, having coffee or tea. I'm currently in London and to attend the Chelsea Garden Show. This was recorded a while ago. And I'm about swimming in tea, so to speak. But back to the topic. YouTube really felt like I was sitting at a table with you, having a coffee or a tea. It felt human. And once COVID was over and I could return to Paris, I really, it was my most happy time, honestly, because it was my place of healing and reconnection to myself. Paris had been all of that post-divorce. I wrote there, I filmed there, I created a life there. It was an incredible experience, and I give Paris and really make note of the fact that Paris nurtured that. After COVID, also, it was very quiet in Paris for quite a long time before people started traveling again. So I started working on a little book. You can see there's a pattern here. When Sharri gets bored, Sharri starts to create. Sharri's writing or thinking or whatever. This is why I've never learned how to play bridge or mahjong. So in Paris, I wrote and then subsequently published my little book called Design Your Fabulous Next Chapter. But while I was doing that, I really recognized that I loved writing. That was in addition to, scripts on YouTube or kind of figuring out what I was going to say on YouTube. It was like I had something to say or something I wanted to share, or something I had to get out of me, if you want to call it that. I love the process of thinking deeply about life and then turning those thoughts into words. I'm sure I drive most of my loved ones crazy because I write letters. I write long letters. I write long emails. So this is why I actually started writing on Substack. Substack, for those of you who do not know, it's a platform that began specifically for writers. It has now evolved into something much more. And I have a free column as well as a paid column on Substack that you can check out if you have any interest. So looking back, though, I realized that much of that creative life that I built was during a specific season of my life, or dare we say a chapter of my life. This was a chapter of solitude. This was a chapter of freedom. This was a chapter of estrangement. I mentioned my daughter. This was a chapter of loneliness, of reinvention. I had gone through my divorce. I was still estranged from my daughter. My son was very involved in his life and the life of his new wife. And so I had a lot of time on my hands. But life changes again, as it often does, right? Right when we think we're getting into a groove, life changes. Well, my daughter, thankfully, and those grandchildren are firmly back in my life now. And they need me far more emotionally than I ever imagined. But before anyone, jumps in and makes a negative comment or whatever, misunderstanding what I'm saying, this is not a complaint. I love those grandchildren and my daughter deeply, and being a part of their lives matters enormously to me. But I think many women reach this stage of life expecting caregiving to end and instead discover that caregiving just simply changes form. Many of us are quietly carrying what I call emotional ecosystems, an entire emotional ecosystem. The adult children, the grandchildren, divorces, aging parents, financial pressure, family transitions. And often we are still the emotional anchors within our family, the steady ones, the people everyone calls, especially when they need something. Now, this can be intense, especially as a solo woman, because when you live alone, there isn't another adult in the house helping absorb the emotional weight. You carry all of it yourself. I was just at a luncheon today with the tour group that I've joined for the Chelsea Garden Show here in London. And we were talking about living in Paris part-time and living, switching between wherever your home is in Paris. And one woman who lives in Paris full-time was really saying how wonderful it was and everyone should do it, et cetera, et cetera. But my comment was, when you're solo, it's entirely different. Living in a foreign country is different when you're solo. Dealing with the taxes, something as ridiculous as that. When you're all alone and you have nobody to sit down and have that conversation with, what does this mean? Does this make sense? Is it the time to sell? Is it the time to buy? Whatever it might be. Those are some of the practicalities. But then on top of it, now add the emotional aspect. Is my adult child okay? Are my grandchildren okay? Do they need someone, to listen to them? My oldest granddaughter is in college, and often I just listen because she needs to share something that's inside of her. So you carry that all inside yourself, and you don't have a release valve. There isn't a way to download with another person because you're solo. So you need to think about it, and the one thing that women don't talk about much also is that divorce doesn't always create a clean emotional ending, especially when children and grandchildren, keep our lives interconnected. I get together with my ex-husband at my daughter's house for every grandchild's birthday, for every holiday, and I cook, and he's at the table. And that's the way it works for us. The children feel loved by both of us. They really don't think about grandma and grandpa are no longer married. They just say grandma and grandpa live in different cities. But there is that interconnection. And sometimes, that means because of that interconnection, that you find yourself sitting across from people who maybe, if we're honest, have deeply hurt you. And you have to learn how to hold your peace, no matter what. And you have to learn how to stay calm while carrying probably some old grief about what all went on in whatever hurtful relationship you might have had in the past. You have to carry that quietly inside of you. And there's a particular exhaustion, I call it, that comes from never really getting fully that emotional distance from the painful parts of your past. Because your love for the children and grandchildren is what keeps everyone connected. So that's heavy. That's a heavy statement. The particular exhaustion that comes from never getting that complete emotional distance. Other relationships in our lives, if we never had children with that person, that relationship ended, we moved on, and we probably will never see that person again and don't have to deal with the emotions that come up because of whatever hurts you experienced and they experienced in that relationship. But when there's children and grandchildren interconnected, that doesn't happen. So lately, I have felt this heaviness, and I've started wondering, how do women hold onto themselves in the middle of all of this? How do we continue building our dreams while still being needed by others? Because the truth is, I love my little business. I love my YouTube channel. I love getting your comments and hearing from you and hearing your stories. I also love Substack. I love to write. And again, your comments, how do I say it? It no longer feels as though there's a screen between us. It's a comment with an actual person. And, that's awfully special to me. So I love this little business. It's the one thing in my life that I have to say feels completely mine. It's not, interconnected with anyone else. And I don't want to lose it. But I also know that something has to soften. Something has to lessen, because the pressure, the pace to produce and be creative, content creators, we call ourselves, at the same time being present for, grandchildren and certainly my daughter, it's a lot. And there's some weeks when I go, oh my God, how can I do this? That constant feeling that I need to produce. My schedule, oh gosh, if you saw my schedule, you would not believe it. The trips to Minnesota to support my daughter while balancing my business, that's a lot. And so that's what I mean. And I share that because I don't think I'm any different from you. We're all carrying it. Truly, we are. So maybe this season of life isn't about choosing between love and dreams and it's one or the other. Maybe it's about learning a different rhythm, a gentler one, a more honest one, less proving, less pressure, more grace, more truth. I still don't know what this is going to look like. I really don't. And maybe that you can relate to that feeling. We do not know if we're going to continue what we're doing in our dream life or if our dreams are going to change. along with supporting the people we love in our life that still need us. So in my case, I still want beauty in my life. I still want creativity. I still want to write. I still want meaningful work. I still want to connect with people like you. But I'm realizing this chapter may require a different way of holding it all, or I just might self-destruct. And I've learned that that's not the way to go, right? You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So you don't throw the business out and say, oh gosh, I'm only going to focus on caregiving. That makes no sense. This chapter of your life is the chapter where you should be able to say, this is my time. I want to give this a shot. So you could probably relate to this if you're feeling in that place of balance, balancing responsibility with your own future, love with your creativity. I hope this video, I was very honest with you. I hope it's something that you were not overwhelmed by. What I really wanted you to feel was that you are not the only one. And I don't want you for 1 minute to think that I've got it all figured out, because I don't. Every single one of us are learning along the way, because life changes. It can change tomorrow. And therefore we have to change. We have to adjust. We have to be flexible. Yeah, be flexible and adaptable. So if this resonated with you, I would truly love, love, love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Like I said, that's how I connect with you. That's how I feel like this is making a difference in somebody's life besides my own, either in YouTube or come join us over on Substack. If you like conversations like this and you want to go a little deeper, join the free Substack account, which is called Letters from Sharri. And the paid version is called The Next Chapter Salon, which is where we go a little bit deeper with questions. And that is relatively new, that particular Substack group, and it will only grow and expand with time. So come join us over there. And I want you all to take very good care of yourselves and your dreams. Both hold that love, the responsibility, along with your creativity and your dreams. A biento.